Today we're going to be covering a couple things. We usually try to do this 45 minutes, but I'm going to try to just kind of condense everything very quickly since we're a little bit short on time. So if you have any questions, go ahead and just send it via chat, and then I'll try to answer as many as I can. If I need to answer them after our meeting, I can also do that as well. Today we're going to be working on setting up categories for events, copying and moving registration forms, moving registrations from one event to another, a brief overview on Communication Center, and also understanding event reports. I'm going to come over here and pull up my test site. The first thing is setting up categories. Categories gives you the opportunity to categorize different events, facilities into one category, and that way you can post that category link on your website if you wanted to do that. So it gives you that kind of flexibility to be able to upsell a category if you wanted to do that. So it gives you the opportunity to do various things whenever you do create a category. The way we create categories is going over to the organization where you do want to create that category. Remember that at each sub-organization level, you have to create those categories. They don't transfer over from one organization to the other. They're just specific to that sub-organization. I have some calendar activities created under this top level org, the ranch. So I'm just going to go ahead and create my category by going to event management. I'm going to go ahead and log in again. It kicked me out. Okay, I'm going to go over to event management, then utilities, manage categories. The title of my event is A Day at the Park. So I'm just going to create another category for my event for training purposes today. And I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to just title it Park Days. And click Save. I'm going to go ahead and click Done right here. Then I'm going to go over to my calendar activity. And I have these two, A Day at the Park, these two that I have right here for 2020. It's a series of events. So we have one for the 16th, the 17th, and then when I teach you how to copy, we'll have one for the 18th as well. But what we'll want to do is come over here to the details of the event, click Edit, scroll down over to the category, and add my category that I have. So I have a Park Days category. You have up to 3 options to categorize. We have different clients that use that for, some Girl Scouts and Boy Scout councils like to use multiple categories to just kind of specify what kind of programs they are. So it might be like a girl program that's the park, and then it's for aquatic programs. And so they put a bunch of different categories on here. So once you have your categories updated, so I'm just going to go ahead and just update these 2 categories on both of these. And click Save. When you have your category, you can go back over here to Utilities, Manage Categories. I'm going to look for that category I created, Park Days. I'm going to click Modify. There's this category URL that you can use to post on your website so that it will show up all those programs that are under that category. I'm going to show you how that looks. And it shows it in this view. So any event that you put that category under, it will pop up right here. And you can essentially make people register through this area instead of going by the normal calendar activity route or by posting the actual event registration link. So you can categorize all of those events together and just use one link to put all those on your website. I'm just going to click Cancel and click Done. So categories are pretty simple. That's how it works. That's how it works for facilities and programs as well. It's pretty standard across the board within the application on using categories. Next thing is copying an event. So I'm going to want to add that third day to the series of my Day at the Park for 2020. I'm just going to go over here and click on this Day at the Park 2020, the details. I'm going to copy the title so I don't have to retype it again because I'm lazy. I'm going to click copy. I'm going to come in here and paste it. Whenever you do copy, you always want to make sure that you remove the test mode off, because what could happen is that whenever you're copying, you can impact the options that are here. Click off. These are things that are checked off from the prior event. So we don't want to mess with the prior event. So we just remove it off test mode, and then we just copy it over. And then if you want to go ahead and move it back to test mode, then you would just want to make sure that you come over here to edit and that you update to test mode, or you can change it to where you're not displaying it on your public calendar and just keep it at test mode off, and then nobody will be able to see it live on your calendar until you're ready to publish it for people to start registering. So that is it for copying over an event. Pretty simple process. You can just come in here. So this is going to be for the 18th. So I'm going to want to make sure I update the date, update any details that I would like to add for that. The registration end date is important. You want to make sure that you do update that to the correct date as well. You always have to have a registration end date if you're doing online registrations. So we're collecting online registrations and we're giving them the option to pay by online and by mail. So we are going to need to do a registration end date. The system will give you an error before you can save it, and it will force you to put in that end date. I'm going to click save. So now we have the third option on the series of our Day at the Park events. And that is how you copy events, calendar activities. It's going to be a very similar process to forms and facilities. You're just going to want to make sure you update that information as well. Facilities and programs, sorry, not forms, but facilities. To copy a form, so I want to come over here. I have this form that's under the facilities rental, and it's called snack options. I want this form, the questions that are on this form, to be applied to my series of events at the park. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this form over to the other sub-organization. You cannot assign forms within one organization to another organization. So if I want to use the snack options that lives in the facilities rental sub-organization, I cannot directly assign that form to the ranch top-level organization. I have to move that form over first. So the way you do that is by going to the organization, the sub-organization where you have the form, click Move Form to Other Org. I'm going to click my snack options. I'm going to select my organization where I want it to go, and then I'm going to move it. And click Done. So this moved it over by just moving it completely over. We come over here, it should be in here somewhere, snack options. So that's one way of just moving the form altogether over. The other option is if you have a form, you can come over here, copy the form. So it's going to make a copy. And then you can also move that form over now, do that other step we just did, and then move it over if you really wanted to do it this route. Move. And then it would move over. So now that my form exists on the organization that I have it, that I want to assign those forms to the calendar activities, I'm going to go over to my calendar activity, and I'm going to go ahead and just assign those forms to all of these park events. I'm just going to make them required.
I'll make a copy of it. Do prior to the event.
Oops, not that one.
Okay, I'll make a copy of this for you, okay. That's not for me, right? No, those are not, yeah, okay.
Okay, so this one's not going to let me add that form because I already have a test registration on here. If you ever do encounter that where you're wanting to collect information, let's say from now moving forward, as an administrator, you can contact the support team, but they will have the access as an administrator, top level administrator, to be able to assign those forms. So if you ever do need to add something else to a calendar activity that already has registrations on it, and you want them to be assigned a new form to collect whatever data you're wanting to collect, moving forward, it's not going to retroactively collect the data, so it's going to be from that point that the form gets assigned forward. Then just reach out to the support team and they'll be able to assign that form for you. So now what I want to do is I want to move a registration from one option to the other. So I'm going to go over here to my registrations. I have one registration I did earlier today. I'm going to click over here to move registration. And then you're able to reassign the event. So let's say this family that got registered, they decided that they wanted to go on the 18th. I'm going to just go ahead and move them over to select the 18th. Click continue. I'm going to say yes, I want to move Urban Branch from this date to the new date. Click yes. Click continue. It's going to take you through the options. I already have that there. I did add that new form to the other on the 18th. So since this form wasn't available the first time around, before I assigned those forms, it's going to ask me to make sure that I select what I want to add. So I'm selecting my snack option and click continue. I've checked out, and then I'm going to complete the order. And I completed the order. They have a $0 balance because they already paid. So there's not any adjustment that needs to be done. From this page, you're able to adjust if there were to be a balance, like let's say that they hadn't paid their full amount and they had $5 and they sent you a check, you're able to come in here and add your miscellaneous debits and then do the adjustment, put the amount in the adjustment description. From here, you're also able to issue the receipt directly again. So if you want to send them an updated invitation, an updated receipt showing their new date reflected on the receipt, then you can, now it shows the 18th. I was registered originally for the 16th. Now I'm registered for the 18th, so I want to make sure that I email that directly to them. Come in here, type in the email address of the individuals you want to send it to, and then click send. So I click done. So now you notice that I moved that registration, and so there's no registrations on here because now it exists on the 18th. And that is the top, that's going to cover our top items that we have on our agenda: setting up categories, copying events, copying and moving registrations, moving registration forms from one event to another. All right, so now we're going to go over the next thing on our agenda, which is communications. So the Communications Center gives you the flexibility to be able to send out communications directly from the Double Knot application. By going over to the Communications Center, you can send newsletters directly from here. You can run your reporting. You can view previous messages. These right here are some previous messages that we have sent in the past. You can come here and report on that data. These are the reports that you're able to pull out. You have your click-through analysis, your Communications Center all click-through by URLs, the message status, the recipients who did open the message, and the time of day analysis as well. So you have the option to report on that. You can click Open Copy as well, and it basically just lets you open it up and basically copy it again to resend again. Maybe cancel. Here it shows you who it was sent to, how many people read it, who opted out, and the returns as well. Up here you can filter by your messages or all messages. This tab is going to be the tab for those that are scheduled to go out. So you can schedule something to go out 3 months in the future. One thing to note though is whenever you do schedule something to go out and you have an attachment added, and I'll show you that in just a second, but you're able to attach files, PDF files or JPEGs via the communication center to be sent out. Whenever you do have that and it's set up in the draft mode view, then it's not going to show that attachment. It's automatically going to attach it and send it out, but it's not going to say it's attached. So just want to make sure that you do understand that. And then scheduled are going to be the ones that are scheduled to go out. It's going to be the same thing if we were to have attachment. So if we come over here to new empty message, I'm going to want to send a notification to the individuals that are registered for my February 18th date at the park event. So I'm going to come over here to add recipient. You have all these options to do by saved searches, but for today, we're going to click on from address list to member, from form address list to events and donations. I'm going to over here, make sure I'm at the top level org. Here are the options that I can click on that are calendar activities on here. It's already has it defaulted to the 18th. I'm going to click all registrants and all registration owners, and then I'm going to click include. So this is going to run a query to select those individuals that are signed up for that program. I'm going to put follow up to don't forget your sunscreen. And then here's that option where I told you guys just a second ago that you can attach a file. So you can choose your file, click choose file, and you'll be able to attach whatever you wanted. And then you can schedule it from here, save it as a draft, or you can just cancel out. So I'm going to go ahead and just send it now. And then you do have to put a reply address. Now it's been sent. So one thing to note, there's not a way to pull a report on if somebody has been sent an email. It just kind of shows you the amount of people that it's been sent to. So if somebody calls you and they say, well, we didn't get anything sent to us, and the one way that you can check is by going to the feature list, going to the constituent management. So I'm going to actually go over to the event management right now and then click on that registration to see what the user ID is. So this Avalanche 15, that's the user ID. That's going to be their user profile. So I'm going to go over, so say this urban person calls and they say that they didn't receive your communications. You can determine if it went to their spam or it got blocked by a firewall or something like that. If it wasn't delivered basically by us and the issues on their end, just by going to the feature list, going to constituent management, searching for the user ID or the first name, last name, however you want to find that person's constituent profile, click search. So here's that profile for them. I'm going to click details. And then I'm going to go to the messages. So messages, it's going to show me what was sent out to them. So here is a follow-up that I sent out earlier today. And it records what I sent out to them. So that's a good way to see that. Another useful thing to do also is coming over here to the constituent management and going to groups. You can create a group on here and then send a message to that group as well from here directly. Let's go back to Communication Center. So now we see our date sent, that message that I sent out earlier today. You can also send it directly from an event or donation. So you can select whatever option you're wanting here. You select the sub-organizations and you can send it that way. You can also have the option to add it manually from saved member searches. So you should all have like a different member searches set up from whenever you first were brought on to Double Knot. There should be different membership searches set up for you already. You can do a member list, e-list, and groups. So these are the groups that I was telling you about just a second ago, that you can create the groups and select the group and communicate with them directly through this communication center. The events and donations is just what we did. You can do the same thing for the program, and then you can manually enter the email addresses here. And then you can select different groups within the organization as well from this drop top. I'm gonna go ahead and just click cancel. There's also the option to do newsletters. So once you first you will need to create your newsletter. We're not going to go into that today. You can create your newsletter, and then you can go from newsletter, and then you'll be able to select the newsletter and send it out directly from the communication center. The same thing goes from previous message. This is going to be the reporting that's available. You get the communication center messages address to, open and click-through rates, and then the messages sent by this organization. Those are the options for you via that reporting tab. This is the pending messages list. So this is the one that I sent out just a second ago. It hasn't been sent yet, some pending status. Once it says sent, it's sent. There's nothing you can do to retract that message. You can search for blocked emails. Somebody blocks you from sending their emails, they'll show that up here. And then you have your different types of settings that you can do. And somebody's asking for like click-through analysis. Is this the one you're talking about? So it should show you kind of what, we don't have a lot of data in here, but it shows you like who has read through it. And then you can look at the different quarters, and then the message subject, and then the status. We don't have a lot of data. So if you've spent a lot in your communications, I would go ahead and just pull that report on your own, and it will show you the data that gets pulled out. So that pretty much sums up Communication Center. Pretty robust, and it does a lot of things. I do have a lot of clients that get rid of Constant Contact and start just using Communication Center. All right. So the last thing on the agenda is going to be understanding reports, event reports. So there's a couple of different routes for you to pull out reporting. Okay, hold on, give me 1 second. Somebody just asked me a question before I jump onto reporting. Okay, so somebody's asking the question on follow-up surveys to send out a survey to all those that attended an event. So whenever you do select that, like from the event, like the way we did today, it's going to pull out everybody that's registered. So regardless of whether they checked in or not. The best thing for you to do is whenever you do check them in, is kind of just pull out a report and then manually add those individuals via the manual entry email, and then communicating with them directly that way. Does that answer your question, Stacy?
Yes, I think so. I guess I always thought that if you did the check-in on the event registration, that would help to sort and cull, and that somehow you could just send maybe a comm message to those who actually came.
Well, it includes everybody, so that's the only thing. It doesn't sort it out for you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so back to the reporting. I'm going to go here. So there's different routes to do reporting. We have our reports tab over here. There is the calendar activity report. And then you also have your program reports and facility reports. So I'm just going to click on calendar activity reports. This is going to give you the option to pull out reports overall. So like you can click on all of the calendar activities or just whichever calendar activities you want to retrieve data on. So I'm just going to click a day at the park, click continue. So the difference between all of the report types, somebody's asking the question, what is the difference between all of the report types? Going this route gives you the option to pull, it's going to be the same report. There might be a few differences, but it's going to let you pull out the report overall. So you can click on multiple different events and report that way, whereas the other route lets you just pull out per event. So it's just different paths to get to the same location. So like over here, for example, this all registration information report, you have the options to pull them out with collecting all of the data that's in their form. So that's going to collect every single detail that was asked throughout the registration process. Some of these are just going to give you the registration without registration information. You can pull some without form information. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this one right here, view registrations and all registrant information. So that's going to include everything for me. And I want to see everything that gets pulled out. We just have one registrant, so it's going to come over here and show us everything that was collected for that registration. And I know this is probably not the most ideal way of looking at reporting. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to download an Excel file. And then Tamara's asking what, if you only want to see the details on one event, which report you would use. It would be the same report, but it's just a matter of how many you click. So I'll show you that in just a second. So if you click on export to Excel, then you can customize whatever you want. So let's say you really don't want all of these other create a date, last date, last update. You really just want the event, start date, end date, registration, all these details up to registered by email. You can, some reports are canned reports, and the canned reports, you'll know if they're that way, you won't be able to edit them whatsoever. You can just it'll pull it for you and then you can just download it. It won't have this little pencil marker right here. So this little designer marker, you can click on it and then you can come in here and manipulate what fields you want to pull out on your report. So if we wanted to get rid of all this other junk that we don't want, we just kind of sit here and just X everything out. And then once you figure out that's what you want, you can click preview. It's going to pull that new report set up. And then you're going to come in here and save report, view registration, and done. And then you can click OK. And now your report has been saved with your new title and your new output. You'll be able to click done. And then down here where you scroll down, you'll have that custom report that we just created. And you can start writing that report moving forward. So the question that I got from Tamara in order to see how to just pull out from one report, from one calendar activity. So there's a couple of routes to do that. So it's by going here and just clicking on that one event and clicking continue and then just pulling the same report. There's that route. And there's also the going to the event directly. And that's going to be feature list, go to event management. I only have one registration on the 18th, so I'm just going to click on this one so we have data to pull out. Click on the details here. And then I'm going to go to this reports tab, and it's going to take me to those reports again. And then you can, this is that same report, and it's just going to be for that one event. And then here's the data again. So up here, if you ever look, this is going to show you what you're reporting for. So if you had 20 of them selected, then you can see all the events that you have selected to report on. Another route to collect your reporting is by coming here, report multiple. It's going to be that same process I showed you the first time. Click on the ones that you want, or just click on that one, click continue. It takes you back to those reports. Go back. I'm going to come over here to a day at the park. And just kind of show you these reports again. You have your checked in report. We shouldn't have anybody checked in. So we haven't checked anybody in, so it's not checked in. But I'm going to go ahead and check them in. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and click check in. We're checked in. That's checked out. Checked in. Click done. Done. And then I'm going to run that report again. And it should pull out. There might be a little bit of a delay, but it should. Okay, so yeah, there's a little bit of delay, but it will update this to yes. Another good useful report, you have also your attendee list report. And then if you're looking for your payment transaction details, that's a good one as well. And the registration detail, that's going to take a while to run. And then the wait list automatically cleared. You can pull on that report as well. But the report that you're going to want to use to really create your rosters is going to be these right here. And the best way to do it is by going in there also and editing and removing those fields that are unnecessary or adding any additional fields. You do have that option to come in here to not only just delete them, but also replace them. So this one has everything. So it's going to pull it all, but some of them don't. But if you click on one of these are all the options that you can report on. And then you just select what you wanted, and then you would just preview it and then save it again and click done. And then once you have your new save copy, it will pop up right here on this custom.